You listen to MMAOddsBreaker. This week we got Sara McMann on the line. She's getting ready to fight Miesha Tate, come up here in Las Vegas. Are you in New York City right now?
Yes, I am. I just left Phil Nurse's gym.
Oh, how was that? How was that workout today?
Oh, man, like, he's awesome. Like, except that he makes me feel so slow. And, you know, like, every time that he moves, like, he's just so quick on his feet. And it's strange because he's, like, a Thai guy, but he knows so much about, like, wrestling as it applies to MMA. Like, I'm constantly impressed with him.
Is he one of those coaches that he shows you something that's so embedded into your style that he'll show it to you on Monday, and by Tuesday night sparring, you're able to use it, like, that quickly?
Yes, absolutely. And he's, like, extremely good at picking up on, like, your body type and where your strengths lie as an athlete and using those. Like, he's incorporated a lot of really explosive things into my style of striking, and a very, like, dynamic stuff, you know, like just increased agility, increased, you know, circling and stuff, and, like, things that very much apply as a wrestler that I wasn't able to pick up straight from, like, the boxing and Muay Thai. But he has such an unorthodox style, and, like, the movements just seem very natural.
But he's not taking away from your wrestling, though. He's still letting you have wrestling as your base, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Everything ties into using my wrestling to set things up, finishing with my wrestling. Like, he doesn't, you know, like, he's very much a if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of coach, you know. But then, you know, as people start to adapt to your style, he starts using those as setups for other things. Like, he's a very tricky coach. He's very sneaky. So, and I love it because that's the only way I got takedowns on boys, you know, in college was, okay, I have to really, really sell them that I'm doing this, and then I have to go for the other shot because I just could never go head-to-head with them. Right.
So this is kind of, this style of coaching has kind of been your style of athleticism for 20 years. So it fits kind of right in the way that you think and the way that you process. I know you live in North Carolina, but do you have to go to New York a lot to train with him, or does he come down to see you?
Well, what happens is that we do a couple different things. Like, I do come up here to train, and I train at Marcelo Garcia's. So that is also extremely compatible with pretty much every wrestler style. You know, like the way that wrestling, like the things that we use in wrestling, the way we apply ourselves, the pressure, the pace, breaking people. Marcelo Garcia's, like, gym is phenomenal for that too. So I come up here for just, like, usually a week period of time because I have my daughter. And then what I take from here is concepts and techniques, and when I go home and I drill it a million times, you know, and I do Skype sessions with Phil, where he'll watch either my sparring or he'll watch my technique sessions, or, you know, like things like that. So we keep in pretty good contact with each other, even though there's a big distance between us. But now that we've worked together enough in person, when he says something, like, I don't need him to actually physically show me how it feels. I know what he's talking about.
That's a real new age approach, like new technology approach to it. Because really, to be honest with you, of the hundreds of interviews I've done, I've never had a fighter tell me they've done Skype sessions with their trainers, other than Gray Maynard, who's another wrestler who Gray gets from his strength and conditioning coach. He gets plans via Skype.
Yeah. No, and I think that I mean, you can't travel all the time, and I have my daughter, you know, like, you have to just be a lot more creative, you know, and I have extremely good partners at home that just pick up on the technique pretty quickly. So it does require that you have somebody around that understands the concepts and can do that, you know. But my coaches, you know, my striking coach and my jiu-jitsu coach, they like Marcelo's style. They like Phil's style. It actually incorporates really well with their style. So, you know, like, I have 4 coaches that understand each other and work well together and have a similar philosophy, and, you know, I'm really, really lucky. So,
do you train? Do you have enough training partners that are women that you can train with, or is it still mainly men that you have to get all your workouts in?
It's mainly guys. So I've traveled up to North Carolina to train with Angela Hill. She's a 115. She's strawweight with. She was on the Ultimate Fighter, Thai girl. So she wants to get. She has great striking, you know, and I have great wrestling. So, you know, we help each other out there. And my coach at my gym in Revolution Martial Arts, I have a 115. He competes at, like, 115. So he's perfect for her too. He can do like the fast, jiu-jitsu and stuff. And like, he's like basically like a human backpack. So, like we all, like we help each other out.
So, but you've spent your whole career having to train with mainly men.
Yeah.
So you're on the winning team for wrestling.
I still do mainly train with guys.
Do you think that women's MMA, within your career, within your lifespan of MMA, do you think there'll be enough women before you have to retire out? That there'll be enough women for where when you start talking to some girls, where all they train with is women, like their main training partners are women, and all they have is women?
I don't know. I don't know if so. This is my theory. Like, I think that women in combative things will only ever be but so big, and I think it's more because it's still non-traditional, in the gender stereotypes. So there will still only be so many male cheerleaders, male ballet dancers, male figure skaters because of our, because of the way our society is. It just will still be less. I don't know if it's ever going to be like 50-50 with other traditional male sports. And I think the same thing is with combative sports. I think girls are still going to be a little bit more pushed towards, soccer, volleyball, and just other sports that are more traditionally feminine. And I think that also like combative sports requires like a certain amount of aggressiveness that a girl is comfortable with that, like our society doesn't exactly, like we want girls that are more cooperative and nice, and I don't know very many truly nice girl wrestlers once the whistle blows. Those girls are getting their butts handed to them if they are. So, but I think it takes like a different type of girl to do it, and I just don't know if that's ever going to be like as mainstream,
Yeah, after the Ultimate Fighter came off, after the Ultimate Fighter came off with the women, I didn't really see like this big chatter of all these women talking about, I want to jump into it. None of my friends with their daughters who were avid fans of the Ultimate Fighter with the female edition they watched the entire episode, they watched the entirety of every episode the entire season, and they still weren't like, my daughter's gonna get into this now. They still weren't like jumping in and pushing and saying, my daughter, like they do with their boys, like, my son's going to wrestling. It's still, like you said, it's still real, I don't want to say anti-society, but it still is going against society norm to have women.
I think so. I think that the girls who do decide to go into it, I think that they will be very true to it and love it very much. I think that there'll be no, like, lackadaisical, I think I want to do this, I think the girls who decide it and want to do it, they're going to have a better idea of what it entails. And they're the ones that come in and get hit in the face. They're like, I'm hooked, and I would prefer it like that. I like that the girl wrestlers who come in and they get taken down, they get bullied around, and they stand back up and they have a little, like, look in their eye that's like, all right, now my turn, and they're not, like, over in the corner crying. Like, I like those tough girls.
Yeah, it does take a different breed, and you can say whatever you want about how the women do a better job of it, minus Conor McGregor. Take Conor McGregor out of it and Chael Sonnen out of it. The women do a better job of marketing themselves because they have the sexiness, they've got, sex sells, obviously, especially when you're talking about a male-dominated viewership, really. It's really the men that are watching the sport as a whole. And they're just going to do a better job of getting themselves out there and saying, look, and a lot of guys have problems with the attitudes of, like, Ronda Rousey's attitude or Miesha Tate's attitude, your opponent, where they're like, they come off as too cocky, they come off as, all they're trying to do is, sell themselves, not really worrying about everybody else. And there's like the Sara McMann's kind of mindset. You don't really do much of anything. You just kind of go and compete and your daughter to school. Is that, do you feel like you're behind the curve because you are battling the female name right now in mixed martial arts is Ronda, and then your opponent, especially on this one, with Miesha, who's got a mouth, and she's out there all the time, she's always doing selfies and that whole bit. Do you feel like sometimes you're kind of behind the curve because it's just not your style to do those kind of things?
No, it's a conscious choice when I went into MMA that, I don't know if everybody makes this decision at some point, or some people kind of get, like, herded into it without realizing what's going on, but, I decided, I saw MMA clearly as it was from the outside. Because when I first started, you know, it was Gina Carano, you know, and she was marketed very beautiful, you know, like, oh, look at this beautiful, you know, like smart, you know, great fighter and stuff like that. But a lot of emphasis was put on her looks, whereas the rest of us were like, okay, you know, talk about her Muay Thai, like, world championship too, you know, like, the girl can actually fight also. So, like, you know, like, we kind of been battling that in wrestling too. But I just made the choice that, like, it just wasn't something that I wanted to be looked at like. So, like, I fought my whole life in wrestling rooms to be one of the guys. You know, like, I would rather have been respected than desired. And so I just never could really shake that, you know. Like, I don't want guys to look at me and think that. I want them to respect me as a fighter. And I mean, like, and other women. So, but I understand it, and I live in the real world, and I understand it's a business, so I don't really, like, fault anybody for choosing the path they've done, and I realize that my path, like, makes me less money and gets me less attention. But it's the attention I get is the attention that I'm okay with, you know?
Is it even more so now because of your daughter? Like, it's even more of a push because your daughter's getting that age now where people can start saying stuff that she's going to remember about their mom and something that comes across and all that? Okay.
Well, it's partly that. It's partly saying that, you know, like, how she's going to view me whenever, you know, she's older. But really it's more that I'd rather be who I am, you know? And when the world tells my daughter, don't be who you are, be somebody else, be what we want you to be, you know, and I say, no, don't listen to them, be yourself, I actually can back it up, you know? It's not like I went and sold out. Because for me to do those things, it would be me selling out. I'm not saying that anybody else is. I'm saying it's not my character. It's not what I believe in. So I'd be changing myself and my persona into something to make money. That is the definition of selling out to me. So if I don't want my daughter to do it, I better be able to say, look, I was under the pressure. I could have made a lot more money. I could have done a lot different things to be famous. And I said, no, that isn't who I am, you know, and, like, I just want to be that to be an example for her, you know.
Now, just for the folks at home, Sarah and I have scheduled 3 or 4 different interviews, and she's had to cancel, I've had to cancel, but she literally gave me the first time I've ever gotten this excuse. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I have to cook dinner, read to my daughter, and put her to bed. That's the first time I've ever had anybody bail out on me for that. Which is not an excuse. How do you keep the balance? Because you are, like you said, you're a non-traditional female. You train and you fight and you're aggressive and you have to be for what you do for a profession for living. And your daughter, from what I see on your social media, is kind of a princess. She's kind of a doll girl. She's not a Barbie girl. How do you find that balance of playing tea time and doing dances in the kitchen to going and punching guys in the face? Like, how do you find that balance?
Well, I think that I keep my priorities straight, and then I keep my eye on the ball. So wherever I'm at, I'm there. So if I'm with my daughter, I'm mommy. You know, that's all I am. I'm not trying to do a bunch of other things. I'm not worrying about my training. But, you know, like when I go to the gym, and sometimes she's there with me, she knows she has mat etiquette. She stays on the side, and she does not talk to me while I'm practicing. She knows this. And then, you know, when I'm at the gym, I'm 100% at the gym. You know, it's the time that I need to focus. I need to train. And so everywhere I am, I'm not dividing myself, you know, 3 different ways. I'm just 100% focused on the job right there at hand. And so that, I mean, like, that's the way that I've managed to do it. And she totally is a girly girl. She definitely is. But she's got a little bit of grit to her. She's been raised in wrestling rooms. Like, she can talk junk for a 5-year-old. I mean, she's highly limited because she can't cuss or hurt anybody's feelings, but, you know, she'll tell you she'll look in the eye, you know, and smile real big. Like, she doesn't back down from these guys. If they start to come at her, she, like, tucks her head in and she runs right at them. So.
Do you have to watch your mouth when she's in the room? When you're training and she's in the room, do you have to kind of cut back on your person, or do you just?
No, I'm horrible. I will be the first to admit it. I definitely don't get Mom of the Year award for that. When I get upset, oh my God, I just taught her, since she was raised in a wrestling room, look, there are some things adults can say and some things that kids can say, and if you say that, you're in trouble, you know? So she knows. And the guy wrestlers, when I was gone to a fight, they even tried to get her to cuss. They're like, Mom, I'm not here. Come on, say a cuss word. And she refused. Like, she's just a good little girl. So I really lucked out. But no, I definitely have a potty mouth, and I wish I could change it, and I try not to, but the second I get ticked off, I'm like, I cuss, so I'm like, Mommy didn't mean that. But that's just being honest.
How do you stay in contact with your daughter when you're on the road? Is it just by text and phone calls, or do you do some Skype or some FaceTime with her?
Yeah, FaceTime with her. I'll call and talk to her. Trent will send me like different pictures of her and stuff like that. But I miss her bad. You know, like I do have a hard time with that. I don't like to be away from her for too long. I mean, I am really blessed with a super, super cool little kid that I don't like to be away from. I mean, she makes me smile like thousands of times a day. She's hilarious.
Well, when you say keep your eye on the ball, I'm sure one of the balls you try to keep your eye on is her college fund.
It's what?
It's her college fund. And being your daughter, she's going to have to go to college. There's just no exception.
Oh, of course.
At 5 years old, I know every parent's like, my kid's a genius, my kid's, you know, this and that, but you're more of a realist when it comes to your children, or when you come to your life as a whole. You're more of a realist about it. You understand the ups and downs, how the world works. Do you think she'll be an athlete? I'm talking about a girl that's 5 years old and you're trying to figure it out. Do you think she's going to go to school on an athletics scholarship or academic scholarship?
Well, okay, so I'm not like other parents that are like getting their kids like specializing in sports really early. So I'm going to have her, you know, like do broad-based stuff. But in my mind, all I care about is that she does enough exercise to be a healthy human being. If she ends up where she doesn't really like want to do sports at all, as long as she is like takes care of herself, I'm good. I do have a little bit more pressure on her academically, and not that I want good grades, but I want her to be an intelligent human being that can take care of themselves, you know, whenever it's time to leave the nest. I want her to be able, you know, like I want her to be a very independent little girl. So that's really what I focus on more than anything else. But I would say probably more academic scholarship. She's just good at school. You know, she likes it. It's not that, you know, like you can't tell from kindergarten, but you can tell that kids that desire to learn more and are curious and have an aptitude for it. So I just feed it, you know, like. But she does like sports. I mean, I think that she will end up doing, you know, probably like a variety of different sports and try out different things, but she's ultra competitive. Oh, my God, I'm trying to actually, like, tone it down a little bit. She competes at everything. I'm like, and she is pissed if she loses. It's kind of hard to deal with. She's like a perfectionist. I'm like, you're 5. One time she got mad because she was, like, crying in the wrestling room. And I was like, why are you upset? And she's like, I try hard and I run so fast and I can't outrun Taylor. Taylor is a college wrestler, by the way. She's like mad because she can't run faster than him. I was like, oh my God, baby. Like, way too competitive.